Hello, good morning, good afternoon to our webinar guests. I'm Larkin Yanulis. I'm the Regional Director of Growth, and I'm thrilled to be joined by Rory Golod, Compass's President of Growth and Communications. Today, we're going to explore how artificial intelligence, or AI, is reshaping the real estate landscape with a specific focus on Compass's newest tools. So over the next hour, we're going to cover three main things. First, how to leverage artificial intelligence for marketing listings, how to make AI work for you currently and 2024 and beyond, and adapting to the future, AI's role in sustainable real estate success. So with that, it is my pleasure to introduce you all to Rory Golod. Hi, Rory, how are you?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thank you. So for those who are not aware, Rory has been instrumental at Compass since 2014, nearly a decade here, driving its expansion into numerous cities and championing the integration of artificial intelligence technologies. He was previously Chief of Staff to founder and CEO Robert Refkin. And prior to Compass, Rory worked at Bloomberg LP and Yext. So Rory, would love to hear a little bit about how your day is starting today.
Day is going well. Very excited to be on with all of you. Thank you for hosting, Larkin. I believe you're live in beautiful Southern California. I'm in New York City today, so we kind of have the country crisscrossed and covered today.
We do, and it seems like from our RSVPs as well, we have people from all over the country. And if people would like to, feel free to drop in the chat what city where you're sitting as well, if you're West Coast or East Coast with Rory. But we're so excited to dive into all things AI together with you all. So Rory, given your access, your exposure, the conversations you have every day with realtors all across the country, both Compass, non-Compass agents, to kick things off today, I would love to hear your perspective on what has been most enlightening for you in speaking with agents about AI's role in the real estate industry.
For sure. Well, actually, to me, the most interesting aspect is I think that there has never been a thing. Maybe the only other thing was cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, but there's never been a thing, I think, that has so much opportunity, but is also so misunderstood or not understood yet in terms of its applications. And I think AI is that. AI is one of those buzzwords where you can't go onto social media, turn on the TV, pick up a newspaper and not see something about AI. So it's naturally creating a lot of energy and excitement. But there's also, I think it's creating a fair sense of fear and concern and worry, most of which I think at this point is a little unfounded, because I think there's far much more opportunity. And the reason I sort of mentioned cryptocurrency and blockchain technology is I remember 2-3 years ago, that technology was going to change the world.
Right.
And I actually still believe most of that underlying technology will. But I think after a little while, it sort of had a kind of this sense of being a bit of a fad. And there were a lot of people talking about that didn't necessarily, I think, know how they could apply it to what they do. AI seemed like that in the beginning, but I think we're seeing the practical implications of it so much so. And I actually think our industry is going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries. And for anyone out there that's sort of concerned about AI or as an agent, if you're worried about it impacting your business or replacing your business, I'm going to share something that Sky Michaels, who's one of the co-heads of coaching at Compass, who said this, and I think it's the perfect way to capture it. AI is not going to replace real estate agents. Real estate agents that use AI are going to replace real estate agents. And I think his point was that this technology, when utilized by agents, is going to have such a profound impact on their ability to be more efficient, more effective, and create better experiences for their clients. And those agents are going to be able to compete and operate at such a higher level that those that are not using this kind of technology are going to have to work 5 times as hard just to keep up. And so that in and of itself is the exciting opportunity, because anyone can take advantage of these tools. And so I think that's, to me, kind of the biggest thing that stands out as you think about this.
Incredible. Well, thank you for bringing it full circle for us, Rory, and love getting your perspective on this, the misconceptions, the energy, the excitement around it, but really, ultimately, it's an opportunity to be embraced right now. And from your perspective, we're of course going to cover artificial intelligence and real estate in the industry as a whole, and also some specifics as to what Compass already has in place or will be building for agents to be leveraging AI most effectively. But what's your perspective as to why Compass is at the forefront of innovating AI for the real estate industry?
Yeah, look, at Compass, our history, and I've been here 9 years as a company. We've been around just over 10. So I've been here since the very beginning, and we've always been a company that's focused on building all of the things that help agents be more successful. It just so happens that technology is one of the biggest things that can help agents be more successful. And so we have spent a significant amount of time and money. We've invested over $1.5 billion in 10 years in building an end-to-end technology platform for our agents to run their businesses on. And that platform helps our agents grow their business and make more money. It helps them save time. It helps them impress their clients. And so naturally, anything from a technology perspective that's new and emerging, we're highly focused on it. And when AI started to become prominent in terms of use cases on the business side, it was actually before it became popular to the world, right? We think about a year ago when ChatGPT came out and AI started to get very popular. We've been using AI as a company for years. We have AI functionality that'll recommend which listings you should think about sending to a client. We have AI tools that power one of my favorite programs that we have called Likely to Sell, which is an AI algorithm that will go through an agent's CRM and recommend which of their contacts has a higher likelihood of selling their home over the next 12 months, and then encourage the agent to reach out to that contact. Those Likely to Sell recommendations are converting to around an 8% rate. So for every 100, 8 are turning into clients, which is staggering in terms of marketing and online marketing and conversion rates. Think about when you send an email blast to your sphere, when you put a social media post up, if 100 people read it, you don't get 8 clients out of it. And so we've been using it for a long time. Now, more recently, we've started to integrate AI across the platform, and it really culminated in launching Compass AI a few months ago, which was essentially our digital virtual assistant for agents. So for us, this is just another step in that technology evolution as we look to help agents be more productive.
Incredible. Thanks for sharing that perspective. Let's turn to the chat really quick, get a little bit of engagement here, and would love to understand from our webinar attendees, for those of you in the chat, how familiar are you with artificial intelligence in real estate? If you could just drop a quick familiar, this is new to me, my first webinar on this. Would love to understand a bit more about our audience here. So seeing some new to me, I know AI very well. So we've got all ends of the spectrum here coming through. A highly relevant topic to your point, Rory, and just commend everybody for being here today to learn more, to collaborate. Our intention here today is to bring further insights to everyone, despite where you might be on the spectrum of leveraging artificial intelligence today, and actionably be able to find new ways to uplevel your business as a whole. Rory, coming back to you, what is it about Compass's approach to AI that is different from what you're hearing from agents that are with other brokerages?
Yeah, and I'm happy you asked that, because I'm actually going to share it and show you shortly. When you think about ChatGPT, which I think is kind of the most popular consumer tool for AI, it was built for the general public, and it was built off of the internet, just all the data that exists on the internet, and it was built to answer questions and create content, but it was built for people in general. It wasn't built for a specific user. And ChatGPT is a great tool. But as real estate agents, we need tools that are built for real estate agents. I'll never forget when I was testing ChatGPT, when I first started using it, I typed in an address and I said, can you create a listing description for this property? Because it seems like a logical thing. And it gave me a listing description in bullet points. Now, as we know, we never write listing descriptions with bullet points. And so as our computer science team started thinking about, and technology team started thinking about how to integrate it, what we realized is, wouldn't it be great if you had the same ChatGPT functionality, but that you could apply it to an actual real estate agent? And so what our team did is they took ChatGPT and they integrated it into the Compass platform. They overlaid it on top of all of our data, which is 10 years of listings, transactions, agent-client interactions, and then they programmed it to know that its user is a real estate agent. Okay. So rather than its user being anybody, it knows that when it's being asked a question, it's being asked by a real estate agent to support a real estate agent, and it was almost trained to be their assistant. And I think that, by the way, that is the future of these different ChatGPT-like models, where companies are going to create the custom versions for their users and for their industries, right? So there's going to be a ChatGPT for music, and I wouldn't be surprised if Spotify is working on it right now, where you go into Spotify and you say, hey, make me this playlist and add this or add that, and it does it for you. Or I wouldn't be surprised if Airbnb is building one for them, which is, hey, I want to put up my home to rent. Can you write out, how should I do it? What should I charge? How much? When? What photos are the best? Like, companies are going to apply it to their specific users. And that's what we've done here. And I'm pretty sure we're the only company that's able to do it. I've seen other examples, but all those companies have done is they've just taken ChatGPT and just put their branding on it. But again, it needs to be relevant to the user as an agent. So let me show you kind of what that looks like here, right? So I'm going to go into the Compass platform, and I'm going to click on AI, right? So Compass AI, and I'm going to show you a couple examples of this. So let's say write a listing description for, I'm going to pretend my home is this apartment. Let's do 15 Central Park West, unit 14D, right? All right. So again, it knows everything about this listing because, again, as a real estate brokerage, we have all the real-time listing data flowing through Compass, right? Where ChatGPT doesn't have all the real-time listing data. So it knows where it's located. It knows that it can scan the actual description of the property and the features of the property and highlight the things that are important. It turns out in this apartment, it does, I've seen this listing, it's one of our agents' listings. It does have a beautiful gourmet kitchen. So it knows to mention that. It also knows, and this is really interesting, this address, 15 Central Park West, is considered one of the most high-end luxury condo buildings in New York City. And it knows that it's one of the most coveted addresses. So you start to see how the nuance and the detail is so much better. Now, I was chatting with an agent the other day who said, I work with a lot of South American clients. And so when I create listing descriptions, I need to write them in English and Spanish. That's the beauty of tools like this. Software can let us do things like that in a matter of moments. So if I say, write the same listing description in Spanish, well, now it can do that for me as well. So now as I market to my international clients, in this case, I don't speak Spanish, but this technology does. By the way, we are only a few years away from us picking up our iPhones, being in a country, and just speaking fully in real time in whatever language, let's say English, and having it translate out in real time, convert into another language. And so we're going to all very soon be in a world where we're going to basically be able to communicate with anybody thanks to technology like this, which is really exciting. And might pose a problem for language tutors and people who teach people how to speak languages. Now, let's take it a step further, right? We know that we wrote the listing description, but now we're going to also want to put up social media posts, right? So we're going to say, write 5 social media posts with hashtags for this listing. And now it's going to create my social media posts. Again, it knows the right hashtags to pull. It knows the quick blurbs to put in there. It knows it's social media, so it's Instagram, Facebook. It's not going to write something super long. And then I have it in there. And I'll show you just one more example, just so it's great to create content, right? And that part's excellent. But it can go so much further. Talk about communication with clients. Clients will oftentimes ask questions of agents that require a lot of time to respond to. For example, we have a program at Compass called Compass Concierge. which allows agents to go to sellers and front load the cost of home improvement services like staging, painting, decluttering. And so Compass will put up to $25,000 to cover those costs. And then when the home sells, the seller recoups us the $25,000 out of the proceeds, right? It's one of the most popular programs at Compass. But I had an agent the other day say to me, I had a client email me and say, can you tell me about Compass Concierge? You mentioned it. What are the details? And I knew if I had to write up all the details, it would take me 15, 20 minutes. I might even have to ask my sales manager because I don't know all the nuance. But she just tried this. She said, can you write an email for me explaining the benefits of Compass Concierge to my clients? And so she put this in there, not knowing if it would work. And it wrote the email. It literally wrote the entire email. And it knows it's writing an email, obviously, so it says, dear client name. You put in the client name, and it breaks down all the benefits of Compass Concierge. And she said, look, if I had to write this myself, this would have probably taken me, I don't know, 15 minutes. And so those are just a few examples, but I share those because, again, any AI by itself is not particularly beneficial. AI tuned to the user that is using it, in this case, real estate agents, is beneficial. And so these are the kinds of things that make, what we built unique. And I think there are going to be a lot of technology companies, not really brokerages, because brokerages are not technology companies, but technology companies, companies like Google and Microsoft, who are going to start trying to find ways to build models like this for different industries and then sell them to the users in those industries.
Makes sense. And you're speaking a lot about these respective verticals needing to have their own artificial intelligence to best service their clients, in our case, agents, realtors. And I think that's so important because the data that this machine has access to is very different than just the general public with another chatbot or similar type of tool that might be out there. In pivoting the interest to realtors, Compass or non-Compass again, there's been significant discussion amongst agents here with Compass and non-Compass agents about this is the time to really spend more time with your clients. If you think you're close, get closer. So Rory, would love your understanding at a high level, regardless of what brokerage an agent might be with, but artificial intelligence tools, how they are helping agents to better understand and cater to their clients' needs. What are your thoughts on how artificial intelligence can really superpower agents in that way?
So, and I saw there was a question real quick. There was a question in the chat on does Compass AI produce storybooks, which have video and photos for listings? Yes. So we actually have a flipbook tool in the system where you can create digital storybooks, and Compass AI will basically create the book. We'll write up all the content. We'll help you select the photos. And so it integrates into that very well. Basically, Compass AI, which I showed everyone, sits on top of our tools. So any tool you have, you can use it on. So if you go to create a brochure in our marketing center and you do it, with a few clicks, Compass AI can create all the content for you. So the answer is yes. It's interesting. The head of our engineering team, so the head of our technology team, says that the way to think about tools like Compass AI and just AI in general is it takes the 80% of your job that is non-core administrative stuff that you're doing and helps you do it in seconds rather than hours. And I think that's really profound because if you think about it, as agents, if you could spend 90% of your time talking to your existing clients, your former clients, and the friends of your existing and former clients, you would all make more money and you'd have a repeat referral goldmine of a business. And it'd quite frankly be a lot more fun because that's the great part about this business is being able to work with people.
Absolutely.
And when you talk to the best agents in the country, this is what they do. Whether sometimes they know it or not, they spend 90% of their time communicating, connecting, in person, engaging with their clients. And so you think about tools like this. The reason why tools like this are so impactful is because what they do is they help you spend as little time as possible on things that you shouldn't spend time on so you can spend that time on your business. So you think about writing a listing description. No one should ever write a listing description ever again. I tell every Compass agent, don't ever write one again. First off, no one reads them. So don't waste too much time on it. But technology can do that for you. You should never have to worry about what posts, hashtags to write, what emails. All of that can be done by software. And if you use software to do it, then you can take the time you save and you can put that towards your business, or maybe put that towards your family or doing other things. That is the secret to success in our business. It is not complicated. It's just becoming harder and harder to do that because there is so much administrative non-core stuff that goes into doing a transaction. And unfortunately, brokerages have not done anything to make that easier for agents. The world has made transactions more complicated, and brokerages have not made things easier. In the state of California, you need 75 forms to do a transaction. Well, how come, right? That's a lot of forms, right? So how come there hasn't been software that's created to take what would do, all those 75 forms and make it so you fill out the address once and everything's automated and created? Like that's the world we need to go to. And I'll give you an example of something that, because there was an agent who emailed me about 6 weeks ago from Connecticut at Compass. Her name's Angela Swift. And we had just released Compass AI and she started using it. And again, we thought the impact would be save time. Right? We're like, all right, you'll save time. And so she started using Compass AI and she sent me this email, and I actually pulled it up because I want everyone to see it. So she sent this to a member of our team, Courtney, and she sent it to Robert, our CEO, and Sky, who's a member of our coaching team. And Courtney forwarded it to me. And so Angela, who's a top agent in Greenwich, Connecticut, one of the top luxury markets in the country, and consistently Angela sells, $75 to $100 million of real estate a year. And she said, I freaking love this. I'm firing my social media person, and thanks to this new technology, I'll be saving $1,500 per month. Putting the money towards a big client event. Huge thank you, Angela Swift. And then she signs the email. Now, I feel bad for her social media person, but I didn't anticipate that outcome, but it makes perfect sense. So she was spending $1,500 a month to have someone posting to social media, writing out content, doing all this stuff. Now she's like, look, this is so easy. I can just use this tool to do it. So I don't need to spend that $1,500. Now, that in and of itself would be great. But what she's doing is, as you know, she said, I'm going to spend the money on a client event. I think this is actually the irony of AI, is that technology is going to help us be more human and connect more in person. And so how does that work? If she now can take that money and spend it on a client event, that means she's going to throw an event for her clients, be in person, connecting eye to eye with clients, and she will get business from that for sure. And so the irony is that, AI is actually a thing. It's not just saving her money. It's helping her build deeper personal connections. Gets back to that 90% concept. So
incredible. Thanks for sharing more on that example too. And kudos to that agent for diving in and leveraging it and earning that kind of opportunity back for her business and her clients. Taking a look at the chat here as well, there was one question about what types of activities will AI most benefit realtors? Another person who's seeking more information on lead gen opportunities, specifically leveraging artificial intelligence. Would love your take on those two.
Yeah, so a few things. One, I will share Likely to Sell. I'll show that in a little bit, which is the lead gen tool that we built with AI in mind for that. I think taking a step back though, one of the best things I think that people can think about when it comes to lead gen with AI is leveraging AI to review large sets of data. Right. So when you think about farming, when you think about contact databases and lists, it's very hard to actually go through all of them by yourself because of a few things. One, they're very big. Two, our own biases will trip us up. Meaning we might look at, if we go into our contact database and we look at 50 of our contacts and we try to figure out who's going to buy, who's going to sell, our mind is going to tell us, well, this person won't for this reason, this person won't for that reason. But actually, the beautiful thing is AI cuts through that and actually just evaluates it based on the data that's available. And so I've seen agents who have used AI and programs like ChatGPT to basically review contact lists, to do farming. They've purchased, FSBO lists of for sale by owner properties and done all this sort of different stuff. And some of that can get a little complicated and technical. And so it leads you down a bit of a wormhole. We've tried to simplify it a little bit, and an example of what that looks like. So I'll show you kind of how Likely to Sell does this, right? So I go into the system. I've got, in this case, 78 recommendations from Likely to Sell. And we'll switch this over to the card view. So what this does is the Compass AI is going through all my contacts in my CRM. I have all my contacts uploaded in the Compass CRM, and then it's matching the client's email address with their home address, right? Because I will have my client's email address for every one of my contacts. I know I have that at a minimum. Maybe I have their home address in there, but if I don't, it's okay. Because what it does is it takes their email address, and then it looks at where that IP address is registered to, which is their home, because it's where you get your internet service. And then it matches it. Then what it does is it takes the home and it analyzes it by about 40 different characteristics. It runs effectively a real-time CMA. So it does an analysis of the property. It looks at transaction volume in that zip code, how many properties are currently for sale, how frequently they're selling, days on market, premiums in terms of price to list, all sorts of different information. If it's available, if there's public tax assessor records, or even if there's mortgage information that's available, it'll analyze that. And we're adding more and more data sets. Eventually, we'll add job changes and things like that on LinkedIn. Eventually, things like a relationship statuses on Facebook. There's all sorts of different factors that will influence if someone might want to sell. And so it takes all that data, it puts it together, and then it scores it. It gives it a high, medium, or a low score, and then it serves it up to the agent. And then they can go in and say, okay, I've got all these Likely to Sell recommendations. And so I can decide to do a couple things. One, I could just contact this client directly if I want. I can create a drip campaign for them. So maybe I decide, you know what, I think this is going to be a long-term seller. So I just want to create a quick drip campaign. This is a 6-month drip campaign. And so I've got different emails that are going to automatically go out, different reminders for me to follow up. I can go in and edit the emails as I want. I can even use Compass AI to write the emails for me. And I can set up this drip campaign and just have it run. I can also just create a CMA right within the system for this listing and just send it to the client and just say, hey, I just wanted to check in. Hope you're doing well. I put together just an analysis of what your property would be worth if you maybe decide to sell. Here's what we think it could get on the market. Take a look at it and, let me know if you ever want to connect. No pressure. Hope things are going well. And so that's how some agents use these kinds of tools. And that's one of the reasons why it converts at such a high rate. And so again, at 8%, there's no tool I've seen yet that is definitively helping agents make more money than this tool, than Likely to Sell. And the best part, it's free if you're a Compass agent, right? Like, you're not paying for that. So I always tell agents, if you're a Compass and you're paying for lead gen, and you're buying leads from aggregators and companies, you're paying for something that you can get for free. And so, I told our team we should rename Likely to Sell, or we should just call it Free Seller Leads. That would be maybe the more obvious one. So
perhaps. Okay. Rory, and so thank you. It's great to see how Likely to Sell is a tool that is going to help agents prioritize their sphere of influence, their database that they already have. And it's also my understanding that these leads, we have abilities within the platform to be able to search an agent's email or contacts on their phone to be able to help efficiently ingest those leads to be part of consideration for Likely to Sell scoring, correct?
Yeah. We so we're able to qualify so a couple things. One, we're able to qualify the actual leads themselves in terms of high, medium, low, as I showed. Two, our team actually tweaks the algorithm and updates it consistently based on the success rate of the likely to sell recommendations that come in. So as more come in and as they close or convert, or even when they don't convert, it's helpful because then we can tune the system to get better and better. We got to an 8% conversion rate. We started off a little lower, and it's going to actually consistently get better and better. And so that's something that our data science team is constantly working on to tweak and improve.
Excellent. Okay. Can you share with that 8% conversion rate as well, maybe another success story of an agent that comes to mind who's effectively leveraged likely to sell, or in combination Compass AI, for example, with being able to identify agents to send CMAs to? Would there be any examples that come to mind to share with the team here?
Yeah. So there are a number of them. I would say that they kind of fit into a couple different buckets. The first is just agents who use likely to sell to just touch base with their contacts and provide value to them. One of the we do a thing at Compass called CMA a day. And so it's this idea where you send a CMA a day to a former client, people who are not in the market, right? People maybe you've helped buy a home, or maybe people you haven't necessarily helped buy a home, but you have their contact and you know them at some level. And the reason it works is because if I'm a homeowner, there's nowhere I can go check the value of my home. We all know it's not this estimate, right? That agents have proven that the data there is not accurate and not something that's actually going to be useful to clients. And so if I own a stock, if I own a bond, if I want to check my bank account, I can go online and do it. And at any point in time, see what the value is of that thing. But my home, which is probably my biggest financial asset, I can't see the real-time value. Now that's an interesting opportunity for agents because we then are the purveyors of that information. And so what CMA a day does is it says, we tell our agents, create a CMA for a client. And the example I shared just now, send it to them and say, hey, we know there's no way for you to see real time the value of your property. So I wanted to just do a quick analysis. This is what the market's doing right now. This is what your home might be worth if you chose to sell. And again, whether you're looking to sell or not, I just wanted you to get an update on kind of what's going on. A lot of headlines about real estate right now. Here's where sort of your asset is. And if you want to talk to me at any point, I'm free to speak. You know, one, it positions you as an advisor, right? It doesn't position you as someone who's trying to sell something. Two, it gives the client useful information. It gives them something they can say, oh, wow, this is value add, because everyone wants to know what the value of their home is, whether they're looking to sell or not. And it makes you top of mind so that when they do decide to sell, they're thinking of you. The reason why likely to sell has been so successful is because people are doing that with people who already possess some of the aspects of someone who would want to sell. And so taking likely to sells, sending a CMA to them, checking in, letting them know what's going on in the market, incredible conversion opportunity. Number two, we've seen people do it just casually, just not even telling the likely to sell that they are thinking about selling, just saying, hey, I just want to say hi and check in, right? Imagine if you could be top of mind for every client when they were thinking about doing a transaction. Like that's ultimately the goal. You want to be top of mind when they're thinking about doing a transaction, and this helps you do that. The third thing is we've seen agents who have taken likely to sells, and they've reached out to likely to sells in markets outside of their own market, right? So let's say in your contact database, you have contacts and people all over the country, right? I might be an agent in New York, but I go into my likely to sells and I see these are clients who are in Dallas or LA or Chicago because they're just in my contact database. Well, what some agents are doing is they're then calling their Compass colleagues in those cities and saying, hey, I'm going to contact this client. Let's see if they want to sell. And if they do, I'm going to connect them with you. And then they're getting the referral for it. So there's so much that can be done there. And again, this all comes back to AI is the technology that's powering this, and it's going to get better and better and better over the coming, months and years.
Those are really thoughtful, intentional strategies of how to leverage this information. Again, people that agents already know in their sphere of influence, but how to prioritize getting in front of them, and then being able to leverage the full potential of things like Compass AI and Likely to Sell with effective strategies thereafter. So for agents perhaps considering a move to Compass, if you're sitting in their seat right now, Rory, how would you describe the learning curve and the support that would be provided to acclimate and start utilizing these tools effectively?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the one good thing about AI at a headline level is these tools are all going to be built to be easy. You know, some of the AI models that we're running these programs off of existed years ago, but they were so complicated that only, the best computer scientists could access them. And they required a lot of money because you needed incredible computing power to do that. I almost sort of think of the example of when I was watching a documentary the other night of Stevie Wonder, and he was in the studio making an album in the 70s, and he's in this huge music studio. And there are 10 musicians in there, and there's recording engineers and all these people. And you needed this multi-million-dollar studio and all these experts. And you fast forward today, and there are people making music on their computer or on their iPhone, and we're listening to it on the radio or online. Because the cost to produce music because of software and technology is now so cheap. All you need is a $1,200 MacBook or a $1,000 iPhone. AI is basically going in the same direction. Years ago, you needed big mainframe computers and huge data sets, and now it's being democratized. And so the good news there is not only anyone is going to be able to use this, but it's also going to be made very simple and easy.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge, though, will be which companies are building it. Because the generic AI tools that are going to be available are just not going to be as good as the things that are made specific, right? The analogy there is if I am a construction worker and I need a pickup truck, yes, a Toyota Prius is a car and I can drive in it, but it's not really functionally useful to bring around a construction site. I can't put things in the back. It's going to get stuck in the mud. It's not good if it's got to pull something. And so that's kind of how we've thought about building these tools. And so we've built them to be easy. And then we have set up an environment to teach agents how to best utilize them. And so we have a team here called the Agent Experience Team, which is, I always say, think of them like the Genius Bar for real estate agents at Compass. It's a team where you go into the office and they're all in person. You sit down and they show you how to use these tools, and they show you the tips and tricks of the top agents and how they use these tools to grow their businesses, because these tools are unlimited. And so some of the use cases I shared today aren't ideas I came up with. They're things that agents figured out how to do while being shown how to use them. And then we start to use them with everyone. And so we do a lot of training around this so that people can really take, full advantage of it.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier, Rory, CMA a Day was one of those trainings where we were encouraging people to do that, and getting caught up and filtering through some of the great questions we have from the engaged audience here. Sounds like, market updates. Can Compass AI be leveraged for that? How does, mentioning sending out a CMA work through Likely to Sell? Would you be able to help weave that together with some visual aid for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me pull one up just real quick to show you how easy this is. So let's take my Likely to Sell. I showed you how to create a drip campaign. I could schedule a call with them. Let's create a CMA. So I click in, it pulls the property, right? So it's got my property. It's a 2-bed, 3-bathroom apartment in New York. It's got the description, the photo. Now I go in and I can easily select the comps that I think are relevant. So I'm going to zoom in here to the local area where this apartment is. And we're going to see kind of on a map where all the other listings that might be relevant are. And so let's select a couple, right? Maybe I think, I'm just going to pick these. Great. Well, now I have them all. So I've got them all in here, different prices, the different information about them, the HOA, maintenance costs, year built. One really cool thing is I can make adjustments in here. I can say, look, this property is a little bigger than this one or that one. And so go in and edit that. I can move them around, say, I want to put this one first. And then this one I'm going to delete. I don't love that. Then I've got suggested pricing because the AI will go in and say, look, based on the comps, based on the properties you've selected, this is kind of the range that you could suggest. Again, that's just a suggestion. Agents can include themselves, what they want. They can also generate the net proceeds that they would gain from the sale of the property. They've got the stats that they can include here. And then it creates a beautiful digital or printed CMA with my information as an agent, the information about this property, the map view, all the different comps, all the stats about each one. And then if I want to include a price, I can put it in there as well. And I can publish this. And the great thing is when I publish this, it's going to publish as a web link. So I could just email it right to my client, or I can print it and bring it with me. And so, that's something normally that would take me a long time. We just did that in 2 minutes. So let's say you spend 8 minutes on it, right? If you want to just kind of really make it perfect. And so again, one of the things that's really important when you think about AI is integration. If AI is not integrated into your overall workflow, it's not helpful. This is part of the problem that ChatGPT has, is I can go on ChatGPT right now and have it create something. That's great. Then I still got to copy that, paste it, put it over here. You want it to all be connected. You want to click one button and have it just run through and be consistent. And that's something unique to Compass that others haven't been able to do because they don't have the technical capabilities.
Awesome. Rory, is there anything else coming to mind while we're on this topic of some of the specific features and tools here that you think would be impactful for agents that are on the line here that may not be at Compass? This could be with regards to how once agents have a seller or an escrow in their pipeline, how does that look different at Compass? You're speaking about the powers in the integration of the tools. Would there be anything else that you would want to share on that?
Well, yeah, I think I would just speak to kind of conceptually, which is when you have a transaction, being able to then have that transaction flow through the system and only need to enter the address once is what makes things simple and easy. And that's one of the great things that we've built in our system. And I think that if you think about AI, the AI technology that we have developed and we're going to continue to develop is going to, here's kind of where it's going to go and what it's going to look like as you think about this concept of ease of use and integration, right? I get a property, I put it into contract, or it's pending, or an escrow. There's all sorts of paperwork that has to get entered and uploaded. I probably need to now manually write the address of this property 100 different times, 100 different places. AI is going to be able to do a lot of that automatically. So when I do a transaction, I already know the address, the client, their information about the home, all of the features of the property, all of that can then automatically flow through, and it can pre-populate many of the documents that I need. It can pre-populate my commission statement. It can do all this stuff so that it's all in there automatically. So I'm not having to manually go do all that. And it can store it all for me so that after a transaction, my client might email me a year later and say, hey, do you have that document? Or I need this for my accountant, or this form. And as an agent, you're like, oh, I got to go find this. And you're looking around for it. And even the most organized agents that might have Google folders and everything in a pretty place, it's still hard versus being able to just go into the system, click on that client. Every single document is there, and just click a button and it gets sent to them. It's almost like your digital filing cabinet. That is the power of these tools, because AI not only helps you create content, it helps you find content and find information. And so that's something that we're working on right now that is going to be really exciting, that we'll probably be able to launch in the coming months, that can make the process really simple. I'd say the other example is building your marketing plans. So we have this in a special pre-release testing right now. It's not ready to go live yet, but in the coming weeks, we're going to release it, which is using Compass AI to create a marketing plan for a listing. So you go sit down with a seller and you're pitching them on selling their home. Well, in advance of meeting with them, you're going to be able to go into the system, similar to how we use Compass AI, put in their address and say, create a marketing plan for this property based on all the factors of the property. And it'll create a multi-page document, digital or print, where you can go in with the client and say, okay, so for your home, here's what we recommend. We think we should, take the photos and do 2 social media posts. And I'm going to send an email blast. And I think we should do a digital ad targeting this zip code. And it's all in one plan. And the value of that is not just the marketing of the property. It's that when you show your seller, the potential seller, they will gain a lot of confidence because you are showing up with a plan. It's not just talking, right? It's not just, all right, well, we're going to do this and do that, and we'll, put an ad in the paper. And it's, hey, we create a custom plan, and it's going to look like it took you 5 hours to do it, but in reality, it'll take you 3 minutes because of AI. And that's something that launches in a couple of weeks. So those are just examples of some of the things that, again, come back to our concept of what's going to help you take those administrative non-core tasks, drop them down so you can spend the most time connecting with clients. And these are great examples of that.
Those are. Thank you so much for sharing those examples, Rory. I think you're helping us to demystify some about the future of AI and potentially how Compass is positioned, the way we are actively invested in it. I'd love to understand from you too, thinking big, going years out from now, how do you see the future of real estate truly evolving further with artificial intelligence?
Yeah. I'm going to get to that in one moment. It actually ties to one of the questions we got was, does Compass own the personal relationship data that's used to create likely to sell? Has there been any, negative feedback on it? So it's a really good question because it connects to this answer. Every agent that's at Compass has a data pledge with the company that's signed by our CEO. And what that data pledge says is that your data is your data. If you leave Compass, you take all your contacts with you. We do not have access to your data. We don't contact your clients. Like, this is your data. And we're very purposeful about that because, look, in reality, we have no use for an agent's contact data. We don't, as a brokerage, we don't sell a product. The product is our agents, right? So having the contact information for a client is irrelevant to us as a company because we have nothing to do with that. It's not like we can email them and say, hey, buy this thing. The contact is only good because the relationship they have with you. And so all of the data that exists in our agent CRMs is theirs. And should they choose to leave, they take it with them. It's another benefit of also being a public company. Because we're a public company, we are under incredible regulatory scrutiny on our data privacy. We have to spend a tremendous amount of money and infrastructure on protecting our data. And so that's not been an issue with our agents. It leads me to kind of when you think about the future, one is going to be making sure that AI technology is leveraged in a way that's safe. And when I think of safe in real estate, I think of just making sure that information doesn't get into the hands of the wrong people. There are a lot of people that every single day are trying to hack agents' email accounts, email addresses. We see this all the time. Title and mortgage companies, and because that data is very valuable. It's personal banking data. It's very valuable data. So one is using AI actually to protect it. But I think the future of AI is going to be, this is kind of what the landscape is going to look like. There are going to be companies that build ChatGPT-like tools for real estate agents that aren't going to be that good because they're not based on real estate data. They weren't developed by the brokerages themselves, and they'll sell them to agents, and agents spend money on them, but they won't be that great. They'll be good, but they won't be that great. And the brokerages will all be a step behind because all these third-party companies are going to be offering these tools to agents, and the agents are going to look at their brokerage and say, how come I'm paying you? Why aren't you offering me these things? And then when I think about Compass, because we're going to be building all of our own proprietary AI technology, we're going to be able to give agents tools that not only work better, but that we give them for free. And here's what it's going to look like. Right now, when I go into the Compass platform, I'll go back to the platform here, and I log into the home screen. There's all these different things I can do, right? I can go in and create custom marketing collateral. I can go in and create a collection, which is like a Pinterest board for my buyer, and share it with them, and go back and forth and communicate and share listings and see kind of who's saying what. I can do likely to sells. I can do all these different things, right? But imagine a world where instead of me, I could see my client activity. Instead of me coming into the system and telling it what to do, imagine waking up in the morning and I log into the system. And it says, hey, you have 78 likely to sells that Compass AI has identified. And I say, great, let me go see them. And I go look at them. And rather than me have to be the one to email them or create a drip campaign or create a CMA, there'll be a little window right here on the right, and it'll have the email already written. And it'll say, based on the comps analysis of this property, we think, if this person were to sell based on when they bought it, they'd appreciate the home will have realized them a 25% gain. Here's a chart that shows the gain. Here's a chart that shows the average days on market, and an email that's pre-written to this client from you. All you got to do is click send. Like, imagine that. Imagine it's, hey, my client Sharon, Sharon, when you bought this home with me 5 years ago, you paid X. Well, now based on the comps in the market, we think it could be worth Y. If you were ever interested in selling, here's what the proceeds would be. And here's how long I think it might take to sell. I've included some data around that. Give me a call if you're interested. Like, imagine that email is just written for you. Beautiful.
Talk about removing writer's block. I don't know about having something to respond to is such a gift, right?
Exactly. Or imagine going into Marketing Center and saying, I want to create a social media post, right? So let's say I want to go in and create a social media post for a listing. So I'm going to put in my listing here, 15 Central Park West, the same one I used before. But imagine Compass AI says, hey, hold on a sec. Of all the photos that you can put up here, we'd recommend this photo, because this photo is getting the most clicks and the most likes when the listing was on, or we're seeing engagement with photos of exterior shots is 20% higher. And don't include this photo. We recommend you include this photo. And, don't say this, change the words to that. Like, all these different things where the tools are telling us what to do based on what has the highest likelihood of conversion.
Mm-hmm.
We're not years away from that world. We are months. You can measure it in months. And when the Compass platform has those capabilities, which it will, it's going to be, quite frankly, very difficult to compete against the Compass agent, I think, because they are going to be a step ahead. It's almost like they're going to have the answers to the test. They're going to be able to provide better insight and information to their clients, manage more clients at the same time, and do it all while being able to strengthen their personal relationships with clients. That's the future of AI. It's not, oh my God, I wake up and AI just sells a home for me. Like, the human aspect of what we do is not getting replaced in our lifetime.
Right.
But AI will make it so that it is just so damn easy to do those non-core administrative things, that this job goes from being frenetic to being sort of organized and simple and beautiful. And so that's what's exciting about it. And that's what, quite frankly, we're looking forward to.
Frenetic to beautiful. I think we can all align with that, Rory.
Right.
For our guests here, we are going to be wrapping up in the next couple of minutes here, but if you have any remaining questions, please feel free, go ahead and drop them into the chat, into the question section here, Q&A section. But as we're gathering any last questions, we will answer as many of those that we've consolidated in the last few minutes here, and also can respond to those questions thereafter the webinar. But Rory, as we're closing, let's hear one headline. What's one piece of advice you'd give to agents looking to thrive in the future of real estate?
Yeah, I think the thing that is most important is to step back and ask yourself, what can I use these types of technologies to do that I'm doing now that is not a good use of my time, so that I can spend more time doing the things that are a good use of my time. That is the most important thing to do. And I think that as you think about, there's going to be all these buzzwords, AI, and it's doing this and doing. Mm-hmm. Think about it just like any other tool, right? I remember when I remember I was in third grade or second grade, This was the late 80s, early 90s. It was a long time ago. But I remember I got my first personal computer. My dad worked in technology, and so we had a computer pretty early. And I remember we got the computer, and I was all excited. Me and my brother were like, "Oh my God, this thing!" And it was almost overwhelming. It's like, "What do we do?" We turned it on, and lights and the screen. We didn't really know. And I remember my dad saying, "Well, what do you do today that you would want to be easier?" And my brother, who was a little older than me, he was talking about, he's like, "Well, I always have to type book reports for school." And we had this like old school typewriter. So he's like, "Exactly." I think he kind of teed this up, but he's like, "Exactly. So now you can type it here." And I'll never forget, my brother writes a word and then deletes it. And it's on a computer. So it automatically deletes, doesn't scratch it through the page. We're sort of like in that stage here. Like we're in the early stages. And so rather than like getting overwhelmed by all these different technologies and getting overly complicated, start at the very basic, right? Writing a listing description might not seem super sexy and cool relative to what people are promising AI is going to do, but think about how many times you have to write a listing description. Think about if you've ever paid a copywriter to do it. If it saves you X number of minutes and you do it over and over again and save that time, that's thousands of minutes over time. Think about social media. How many times have you racked your brain on like what quote to put, what caption? All these little things are the things I would be focusing on right now. And then start to add on the more complex and complicated things. And ultimately, don't feel like you got to be the programmer to build that. Let companies like Compass create that for you.
Yeah. Offload one more thing to be a professional outsourcer of, because we've already built that here. And I guess, one final question here. We touched on, I would say more features with regards to sellers and how our technology supports agents with that. How is Compass helping agents get more buyers as well?
Yeah, well, look, in terms of buyers likely to sell also is a buyer tool as well, because some of these folks, if they're selling, it also means they're looking to buy, right? The other thing that it's doing is a lot of agents are using it to craft prospecting emails to their networks. So they're using it to say, "Hey, here are 5 listings," sharing it with their network, doing it really fast so buyers can get a sense of what's going on in the market. So there are different things like that it's using to help manage and strengthen more buyers. But one of the things you keep hearing me talk about is actually your sphere. AI will at some point help agents get leads that exist out in the ether. But the secret of our industry is that the cold internet lead is a farce. I've never met an agent who's built a truly amazing, successful, highly profitable business off just like cold internet leads. 90% of your business should come from repeat and referral clients. Your network. I always tell agents, in your contact book, in your iPhone, in your contacts, you have more business than ever you could get from the outside world. It's just about how do you actually get in front of it and cultivate it. And so that's something we're working on quite closely with buyers.
Awesome. Thank you, Rory. Thank you so much for your time and your insights today. It's always a delight to spend more time with you, and to everyone that tuned in here or will be watching the recording. For more tips, valuable content, don't forget to check out our website. I believe Pooja dropped that in the chat. We will send in follow-up as well. You can access previous webinars, recordings, trainings that we're doing. You can read about the Compass Advantage, connect with sales partners, and more. So that's at compass.com/agents-compass. So thank you, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks, Rory.
Thank you, everyone.